Hi everyone and welcome to Live Penguin TV. My name is Jordan, I'm your host tonight, and this evening I hope you're all excited to watch the smallest species of penguin, the little penguin, making their way home from the ocean and doing their dangerous little dash as they waddle across the beach tonight back to their burrows on land here on Phillip Island in Victoria, Australia. Tonight we are joined by the lovely Ranger Heather. Heather, come in and say hello and tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing this evening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to be monitoring the YouTube questions, so please keep your questions coming and maybe giving Jordan some questions.
Not too tricky ones, if you don't mind. I'm not Dr. Andre, as you might have seen. You might have tuned in on Monday night and listened to Dr. Andre talk with me about all things penguin. He answered some of those really tricky, nitty-gritty questions that you guys had. So at any point throughout this stream tonight, fellas and ladies, if you have any question, post them on Facebook or YouTube. Either, it doesn't matter. On Facebook, we are going to be having a wonderful team of penguin rangers going through all your questions and answering them within about 24 hours or so. Unfortunately, we don't have the capacity to do that on YouTube at the moment, which is why Heather is going to be monitoring the YouTube questions throughout the stream, and she's going to be passing me some of those questions that you are asking in the comments live on the air. So if we don't get to your question, please don't stress. We are getting so many people commenting all these beautiful questions every single night. We might not be able to get to you, but the good thing is we are running this stream night after night after night. So keep tuning in, keep asking those questions, and we might be lucky enough to answer one of your questions live on the air. We'll aim to get a few questions up tonight, but if you've watched me do this live stream before, you'll know that I talk and talk and talk. So it can be very tricky for Heather to come in with a question, but I will make sure I throw it over to her for a few of those audience questions. So please keep them coming and we'll do our best to answer them live on the air. So if this is your first time watching Live Penguin TV tonight, big warm welcome to you all. If you are a regular viewer of Live Penguin TV, you might know a very popular catchphrase here on Live Penguin TV, and that is huck, huck, huck. Welcome to you all in penguin language. That is the noise penguins make when they're out at sea, when they're chatting to each other, getting ready to make their way in tonight. Now, I'll probably be doing a few more penguin impressions for you live on the stream. You all know that I love doing that. So listen out, and I hope you don't have your volume turned up too much. Alrighty, so at the moment, we have started this stream about 10 minutes later than what we normally do because we are lucky enough to have a beautiful full moon, a really low tide tonight. That is fantastic for us as viewers because, in fact, I can see the reflection of the moon just on the sand over there. And in fact, there it is, everyone. So you might have seen a beautiful reflection on the water last night when you saw Megan and Heather hosting the stream. Now we get a beautiful full view, and I think, Heather, it's about 99% full. Is that right?
That's correct, Jordan, 99%.
Let us zoom in on that beautiful moon because I don't believe we have any penguins just yet. Look at that moon, and we're going to be able to watch it rise tonight, everyone. That is so beautiful, and I don't actually think we've seen the moon rise on Live Penguin TV before, so that's a little bit of a treat. So that's going to mean that there's lots of light around for us to view the penguins, which is, again, great for our viewing, but it's a little bit scary for our feathery little friends. Come on, camera, let's fix our zoom as they start making their way home. Because if you have watched Live Penguin TV before, you'll know that the penguins only start crossing the beach. They'll start washing up just at the... in fact, I've already found a few penguins. Okay, it's more than a few penguins, everyone. They are in a hurry home. Despite this really low tide and this beautiful bright full moon, they are on a mission and starting to head home. So here we have the smallest of the 18 species of penguin making their way up the beach across here. If you have been tuning in night after night, you are probably getting very, very good at estimating how many penguins are in these groups crossing the beach. So in the comments, please let us know how many penguins you think are in this first group. And also, I would love to hear in the comments how many penguins, if you were watching last night, I'd love to hear how many penguins you thought crossed the beach. Because I'm telling you right now, everyone, it was a big number. And if you tuned in last night, I believe the first group was about 550 penguins. So that was the biggest raft that we've seen wash up on the edge of the water and crossing the beach, turning into a waddle as they make their way across the beach. We've got a fairly decent sized waddle of penguins crossing the beach right now, but I don't think it was quite 550. But that was a very, very sizable waddle last night, and I hope you've had a little bit of a chance to put in the comments how many penguins you think crossed the beach last night, because I'm going to jump over to Heather and get her to get her to tell us exactly how many penguins crossed the beach in a 50-minute period last night. So Heather, what's the magic number?
You ready, folks? 3,107 penguins.
3,107 penguins crossed the beach last night. My golly goodness, that is a lot of penguins. We are getting more and more of these beautiful little guys coming in because we are right at the start, or actually we're kind of in the thick of the breeding season at the moment. So these little penguins can spend anywhere from one day up to a few days or a few weeks out at sea at a time. They come back home to Phillip Island more regularly if they've got eggs to sit on and if they've got chicks to feed. So that's what a lot of these penguins will be doing, coming home as they make their way across the beach tonight, returning to their eggs and their beautiful little fluffy brown chicks at home. So it's a very, very exciting time of year at the Penguin Parade, and we've got some very beautiful, healthy looking penguins coming along now. So I don't think I quite explained exactly why these penguins come in at the same time every night, and that is because they're waiting for it to get dark. During the day, there's lots of big predatory birds that love to fly around the coast and would love a tasty penguin to munch on for breakfast, lunch or dinner. But these penguins know that when they're in the ocean, they are actually quite safe because they've got navy blue feathers, they've got dark blue feathers on their back, which camouflage against the surface of the water. So if there's any predatory birds such as swamp harriers, white-bellied sea eagles, whistling kites flying around, they can't actually spot them against the surface of the water. Now I'm going to change over to our highway camera and talk a little bit more about why these penguins are making their way home at night. So the penguins have worked out over many thousands of years that when it gets dark, those predatory birds return to their nests for the night, which means they can cross the open sandy beach without getting swooped on. So they're very clever little penguins. They kind of group together out in the water, going huck, 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 and they're waiting for all their friends to join them so that they can cross the beach in a nice big group, a nice big waddle, because there's safety in numbers. But because we've got a full moon tonight, it's a little bit brighter than what it would normally be, and the low tide means they have a really long stretch of beach to cross to get home. Other times at sunset, we actually have quite a high tide, which means the penguins get to surf the waves directly into the sand dunes and into the vegetation, and they don't have a long stretch of beach to get back home. But because these penguins are in the breeding season, they've got responsibilities, they've got parental responsibilities at home. They are not too fussed about this beautiful big long beach. I'm going to see if there's any more groups starting to cross at the moment. You can see a few in the rocks. They are braving those kind of really bright conditions and this really big open stretch of beach because they need to get home. It looks like we've got a slightly smaller group hanging around at the water's edge, but they are not waiting for any of their friends because I wonder if they also have some eggs and some chicks at home. So while it's a little bit lighter and we've got this beautiful low tide, I'll focus on this little group of, what do we say, is there 6, 7 penguins? get your guesses in the comments, guys. We might be able to offer you a penguin counting job because you guys will be professionals after watching live Penguin TV all this time. But just while we're watching these little penguins waddle their way home, I would just like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Bunurong people, who are the traditional custodians of the land here on Phillip Island. And they have done an absolutely amazing job protecting these penguins, and they were the first people to actually watch penguins cross the beach many thousands of years ago. And their fantastic sustainable management of Phillip Island that they call Malau is the reason that this large colony, the largest colony of little penguins in the world, has persisted for so long, and we have a very healthy population of about 32,000 of these beautiful little blue penguins here on Phillip Island. So I would like to pay my respects to the Bunurong people's elders, past, present and emerging, and ask that all of you at home, wherever that may be, think about ways that you can live more sustainably on the land with the earth, so that you can help us protect these penguins and all of the amazing sea life that we have out in the ocean as well. It looks like we have another, ooh, it's a very, very big waddle of penguins. Okay, get your counting caps on. I might even have to, oh no, you've just fit in the frame. I thought I might have to zoom out a little bit more, but oh my goodness. Poor Sonia is our penguin counter tonight. She's a very, very experienced ranger here at Phillip Island Nature Parks, and she's been counting these penguins for a very long time. But even poor Sonia has her work cut out for her. We've been getting an amazing amount of people sending their love and support in the comments for our penguin counters. Please keep that coming, because Heather, is it Sonia's first day back?
We are welcoming Sonia back after long service leave, so we're very excited to see Sonia.
Heather is very, very good friends with Sonia, and she's been on long service leave, if you didn't hear her say that just now. So what a night to be welcomed back and getting her counting caps on. Now, you might have heard us talk a little bit about counting penguins. How can we possibly count all of these penguins as they make their way across the beach? There's hundreds of them. We have been counting our penguins nearly every single night since 1968. And right now, Sonia, our penguin counter, will have a pair of binoculars. She'll be going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 100 penguins. All of our penguin counters have different ways of counting penguins across the beach, but after 50 minutes of watching these little dudes crossing the beach every night, we get a number. And so if you just tuned in, last night's penguin count was 3,107. The numbers seem to be going up and up and up because these penguins are spending less time out in the ocean because they have to bring food back for their beautiful little chicks at home. And I would like to tell you a very, very good story just on the chick front, because if you're a regular watcher, you'll know Megan already. She was the host for the live stream last night. I was out in one of our research study sites weighing some penguin chicks. So when the chicks are left alone by their parents, it's kind of like when they get a bit older and they can be left alone for maybe a day or two. We can then go in and weigh the chicks to see how much food they've been getting, and we can track their weight and development over the time when they're beautiful baby little chickies after they've just hatched to when they're fully grown after about 8 to 11 weeks. And today we officially had our first nest of chicks fledge. So they're only about 8 weeks old, but they were really fat, chunky chicks. And today we went and checked this little nest box, which we know is their home, and they weren't there. So that means they are both out in the ocean learning to fish and swim all for themselves. So send your luck to those beautiful little chicks in burrow 48. They will be doing a very, very good job. Their body, their health condition was really, really good, and it's a really good sign because them, as well as a lot of other chicks in our study site, are really, really fat, chunky chicks, which means their parents have been doing an amazing job bringing lots of food back for them on their trips out in the ocean. This over here, everyone, is Penguin Peak Hour traffic, and it doesn't actually look like there is a spare spot on the rocks right now. It is a penguin domino effect. There's literally no space whatsoever. Some of them have decided to stay put. Their parts are probably going 100 miles an hour after crossing this big open sandy beach. And now that they've made it to the rocks, they are happy to relax, do a bit of penguin yoga, as Heather likes to say, here on these resting rocks, and others are on a mission. They are powering on through, no time to stop for anyone. So we're hoping that means they're bringing lots of food home to their beautiful little chicks. Whether they are nice and close to the shore, look at this big group coming up on the Penguin Highway, or whether they have a very long, maybe 2-kilometre journey home. It looks like our puddle just out the front of this viewing stand is starting to dry up just a little bit. If this is your first night tuning in, you're probably going, Jordan, what are you talking about? There is plenty of water here in this little pond that the penguins are lucky enough to swim through rather than waddle, because normally this puddle isn't here, but they are still taking full advantage of this little puddle. And they normally make that sound when they're in the water, but sometimes they've actually been heard making that hucking sound, which is kind of a location call out in this little pond here as well. So I might hop across the pond and we'll see what is going on up the hill. And while we're doing that, I think there have been lots and lots of questions coming through, everyone. So while we're searching for some penguins climbing this beautiful bit, making a bit of a hike on the way home, there's one right at the edge of the pool. I might throw to Heather for a question and we'll see if we can get those answered for you. So Heather, how are we going?
Great, Jordan. Nathan, who's 9 years old, would like to know, do penguins make any other sounds besides the huck?
You chose that question especially to embarrass me, and it won't work because I have no shame. Nathan, penguins make lots and lots of different calls. Like Megan likes to say, I don't speak fluent penguin, but I know a couple of phrases. So you've heard about huck, huck, huck. Hey everyone, is there anyone else out in the water? Can we cross the beach yet? Is it safe? What do we think? They also make another sound which kind of sounds a bit like a trill. I hope you've got your volume turned down because it's going to get a little bit loud. I'm going to follow some of these penguins up the hill as we do, Nathan. Hold on a tick. And that kind of sounds like... So that's the sound the penguins typically make while they're on land. And it's kind of a mixture of, I'm a big, beautiful penguin. This is my home. This is my territory. If it would be a male, it would be, all you males, stay away. This is my wife. This is my property. Stay away. Or if their wife isn't at home, it could be them saying, I'm a big, beautiful male. Come over and visit me while my wife is out at sea. And vice versa if it's a female penguin. So especially in the middle of the breeding season, there's a lot of that noise going on. It can be quite deafening. So I thought we might have a little bit more action on this road. That's okay. Let us, oh look, there's a few penguins commandoing on through. So yeah, there is that trill sound, which I don't do it justice. I apologize. But yeah, when you come and visit us at the Penguin Parade, that will probably be the most common sound that you hear. Another one that I was kind of discussing with Megan today during our field work is kind of like a little bit of a warning sound. And we don't really have a name for it, or at least I'm not sure of the name for it, but it sounds a little bit like huck, huck. Now it's not huck, it's not huck, huck, it's huck, huck. And that's a little bit of a warning call. So again, it's kind of like the penguins going, huck, this is my home. Oi, I'm watching you. Stay away from me. Stay away from my girl. Stay away from my husband. This is my home. Or at least that's what I kind of think they're saying. But yeah, they've got lots of different noises. Sometimes they can make a little bit of a growling sound if they're not too happy. And they can kind of also make a bit of a, if they're a bit unimpressed, they make a bit of a sound. It's kind of like they're spitting, although they don't actually spit. So I hope that satisfies your question, Nathan, about what kind of sounds the penguins make. But my best recommendation would be come and visit us here at the Penguin Parade when it's safe to do so. We have currently welcomed back regional Victoria to the Penguin Parade. But hopefully we'll be opening up to Melbourne when it's safe and the rest of the world very, very shortly. So let's maybe jump back to the beach and see if we can see any penguins as they make their way. There's still a massive penguin traffic jam. There is no space on the rocks, but there are still tons of penguins crossing the beach. That is, peak hour traffic. That is a traffic jam here at the Penguin Parade. And oh my goodness, it even looks like we have another big group right at the water's edge. Again, poor Sonia, this is her first night back after long service leave, is counting all of these penguins crossing the beach. Send her your love because she is going to be working really, really hard with those binoculars as the penguins cross the beach tonight. So I did mention that we have recently opened up to regional Victoria, which is fantastic. We are so happy to welcome people back because until recently, rangers such as myself, Heather, Megan, Sky, Stephen, we've just been talking to a lot of people on Facebook and YouTube, but we've just been talking to an actual camera a camera and a laptop screen. We much prefer talking to people, so we're really excited to welcome back regional Victoria. But aside from us actually getting to talk to people about penguins other than ourselves, it's really fantastic being able to welcome back people to the Penguin Parade because Phillip Island Nature Parks, the organisation that manages the Penguin Parade, we're a self-funded non-for-profit organisation, which means we get most of our profits from tourism, ecotourism. So people coming to the Penguin Parade, coming to the Koala Conservation Reserve, located on Phillip Island as well, looking after some bushfire-affected koalas from earlier in the year, as well as Churchill Island Heritage Farm and the Nobby Centre. People who have come to these attractions in the past, who have come to our beautiful woodlands and coastal reserves, all of those areas are funded and looked after by people coming in and helping us and supporting us through tourism. So thank you so much if you've joined us in the past. We can't wait to welcome more and more of you back as it is safe to do so. But if you're stuck at home, if you're in lockdown, if you would like to help us support these beautiful penguins and make sure they get home safely, one really easy thing that you can do is donate to the Penguin Foundation, and the link is in the description below. With the Penguin Foundation, we have been absolutely blown away by everyone's generosity, whether you've donated, whether you've adopted a penguin or become a penguin pal. All of these things have gone towards our ongoing rehabilitation and rescue of the little penguin and our native wildlife here, as well as funding a whole range of cool research projects. You might have been, again, tuning in on Monday and heard from Dr. Andre that the Penguin Foundation actually funded a study into penguin smell. And through that study, we discovered that penguins can actually smell fish farts, and that is how penguins are able to find their food, find those feeding hotspots out in the ocean. So if you would like to help us protect penguins and go and contribute towards our ongoing research so we can find out all of these things about penguins and so we can answer all of your wonderful questions, please consider donating to the Penguin Foundation or plop over some of these penguins go gracefully over the rocks. We really appreciate it. Let's keep following these penguins. And you know what? For a second, I'm just going to jump to our Penguin Highway because a few of you might be very familiar with what's going on. We can all see there's a penguin going the opposite way right now. Oh, okay. Did everyone just see how... Now, oh my God, are you going to get bowled over by all these penguins coming up the highway? That there is a female penguin. And the way I know is because we call this penguin something called a shell gritter. Now, I've just kind of lost... Oh, no, there she is. You can still see her back. She's trying to dodge her way through the oncoming traffic. That is a female penguin, and she has eggs developing inside her. So female penguins, when they're getting ready to lay their eggs, in the last kind of 4 to 5 days of egg development, that's when the eggshell starts to form. And they need a lot of calcium to be able to make their eggshells nice and strong and nice and healthy. ready. So what they do, if they've been in their burrows during the day, kind of preparing their nest and staying out of sight of any predatory birds, when the sun sets, they can actually come out of their burrows, waddle their way down the Penguin Highway and head to the beach. So it looks like she's almost through the traffic at the back. And what she is doing is going down to the beach to look for little bits of seashells. Now, what I'm going to do, I want to see if I can try and find her again. So she should just be coming around the side of our Penguins Plus stand. So this is a mother-to-be. She will be getting ready to lay her eggs, and she's coming down. Come on, camera, let's focus. She's heading down to the beach to get her calcium supplement to snack on some seashells. So she can't do that on land, so she'll be heading down. Now, it might be a little bit tricky to see. Let's just have a look if we can see her rounding the corner, if we can see any penguins going the wrong way. We might not be having any luck. Oh, there's one penguin. As you can see, we are welcoming people back to the Penguin Parade. Okay, we might not be having any luck watching her tonight. Let's get those people out of the shot. You want to see penguins, not people. And the reason I wanted to talk a little bit about shell gritters tonight, female penguins with eggs in their tummy, is because when Megan and I, you're going to hear lots. Actually, you know what? I've got another story about Megan that I want to share with you a little bit later. When Megan and I were checking on our study site where those two little chicks have already fledged, the ones that I mentioned just a little bit earlier, Megan discovered something quite cool out the front of a burrow, and that was a little pile of seashells. And usually what that means is that there's a penguin inside that burrow who's just laid her eggs. Now, after she lays the eggs, she actually doesn't need those seashells. She doesn't need to extract the calcium anymore. So what the female penguins do is they regurgitate the seashells because they're like, nah, we're done here. But we found something a little bit scary and a little bit troubling inside that little pile of seashells that she threw up, and that was this little bit of plastic. Now, if you've joined in, you might have watched me show this bit of plastic before. So it's about the size of a fingernail. So she'd actually mistaken this little bit of plastic for a bit of shell. We were really, really lucky, though, that she threw this up and it didn't cause any trouble in her tummy, because she has been sitting in this burrow for a couple of weeks, keeping these eggs beautiful and warm. But she's also not going to regurgitate the fish that she's been feeding on out at sea and this little plastic to her little baby chicks when they hatch and when they need a feed from mum. So we were able to remove that little bit of plastic from the environment, which is fantastic. But the best thing that we can all do is make sure that that bit of plastic, things like this, don't end up into the ocean or anywhere out in the environment in the first place. So if you do see any rubbish out in a natural spot, please do make sure you pick it up. If everyone picks up 3 bits of rubbish a day, it might not get rid of all the rubbish out in the ocean or out in the environment, but those 3 bits of plastic might save a life. You might be saving a penguin, you might be saving a whale, a dolphin, or any other kind of marine life. So please do consider picking up bits of rubbish if you are outside, because even if you're really, really far inland, they can be carried down to the ocean, into the rivers and into the streams as well. And we don't want any beautiful mama penguins mistaking bits of plastic like this for bits of seashell. So if you can pick up bits of plastic, we will be forever grateful, but the best thing that we can do is try to reduce how much plastic we're using in the first place. For example, one thing that I'm trying to do at the moment is make my bathroom at home completely plastic free. So recently, this year, I've been buying some toothpaste in a glass jar, which is recyclable and you can get refilled. I've got a bamboo toothbrush as well, which is really, really cool. So if you think about doing tiny little things like that, all of these little differences. We don't need everyone living a perfect waste-free lifestyle. We need everyone or most people doing it imperfectly. So no small change is too small. Please consider doing these things to help protect these little penguins. Again, the penguins will be forever grateful and we will as well. In the comments, if you like, we would love to hear some of the ways that you're trying to reduce the amount of plastic or waste that you're producing at home. So let us know in the comments what you're doing to help protect these penguins, and you might be able to inspire someone to make a difference and make that change as well. Alrighty, I think Heather's got another question ready for me.
I have, Beautiful. Jordan. Lots of people have been asking about penguins and the daylight savings. So, Jordan, what's going to happen?
Penguins and daylight savings, everyone. This is a little bit of a funny one. So penguins, unlike us humans here in Australia, I'm not sure if daylight savings is a thing for all of you guys around the world, but what's going to be happening on, I think it's Saturday night, Sunday morning, is we are going to be putting the clocks back, pushing it forward. Hang on. We're going to lose an hour of sleep. It's going to be an hour later. Heather's just laughing at me. So we're going to be losing an hour of sleep. Our clocks, I think they're going to go forward. Yeah, that's the one. So it's going to get darker later, but in reality, it's just slowly getting darker and darker as we heading through spring and into summer. So we will be starting this live stream an hour later. It's hard to explain because it's still the same time, but we've just changed our clocks. So everyone who has been tuning in from about 6:40 tonight, from Sunday night, you will be tuning in from 7:40 or so, because that's what time the penguins will be crossing the beach. So it doesn't actually, the environment doesn't get darker an hour later, it's just us changing our clocks. So the penguins are not fussed by daylight saving, it's just us humans that get a little bit confused by it. So thanks for the question. I've been seeing lots of those questions coming through in the kind of previous couple of nights. So thanks for the question, Heather. That's great. Okay, so everyone, I think we've got about 5 minutes left of the stream tonight. Actually, no, sorry, 10 minutes. I was trying to rob you for 5 minutes. My apologies, everyone. Oh, it was 5?
You can do. Yeah.
I can do whatever. Let's go 10 minutes. We all know that I love talking about penguins. And again, if you've joined in watching me on previous nights, my 5 minutes usually last 10 minutes anyway. So I'm not going to rob you of your beautiful penguin time tonight. Let us zoom in on these penguins that are hanging out just in the vegetation over here. Looks like, oh, what's that? Oh, did everyone see kind of in the bottom of the screen? I think they've just disappeared. It looked like there were a few, it could have been fighting. Oh, there we go. We're coming back up. It could be fighting or it could be special penguin cuddles. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to tell the difference. And for parents at home who are watching with their kids, I will let you explain what a special penguin cuddle is. But it looks like, I reckon it might have been a fight, because if they were paired up, if it was husband and wife or a cheeky boyfriend or girlfriend, I think they would still be hanging out together. So I wonder if that was a male penguin who was trying to ward off another male to try and keep him away from his property, from his territory, or from his female as well. So you can see that some of these penguins are hanging out in this vegetation. They've got beautiful beachside residences. They don't have to climb the hill. They don't have to swim through the puddle to get home. They are just happy with the beautiful beachside view. The $1 million view, I'm very, very jealous of these penguins. Not so jealous of the ones that have to trudge nearly 2 kilometres home. That is a very long way. Imagine having tiny little penguin legs as well. Let us zoom in on these penguins and see if we can see what they are getting up to. Now, I did promise that I'd tell you another story about Ranger Megan, and I wonder if she's watching at home, because you know what? If you've watched before, you're not going to be surprised by this story. It's about penguin poo. You might have heard me tell the story the other day, embarrassing Megan, that a penguin not only pooed on her, but it actually pooed down her vest. Today, when we were out checking our study site, both her and I were trying to be a little bit clever. We were trying to, when we were weighing the chicks, we were trying to aim their bottoms away from our clothes, because if you've seen a penguin poo, or if you've heard us talk about penguin poo, it is projectile, everyone. It has a very, very high velocity, and it is very, very smelly, very, very fishy. So I wanted to zoom in on these penguins to see if we could see any poos happening, but keep our eyes out. I'm going to definitely lose my train of thought if we do see one, because I get very excited about penguin poo. So yeah, we were being really, really clever. We were trying to angle their little bottoms away from us. And we're doing a really good job to start off with. And on this one particular burrow, Megan was holding the chick in her right hand and it pooed. It missed her clothes, but it got right down her arm. Poor Megan. And she was wearing just one of these shirts, so it didn't get on her clothes, but it got all down her arm. Me, of course, who was watching, I was laughing very, very hard. It was very, very funny. But Megan got her revenge on me, or karma came around, and I had 3 chicks poo on me. And it wasn't just a little bit, it was literally right in my lap. So I started off laughing at Megan, and then I think Megan definitely had the last laugh today. So I have since this morning been home, had a bit of a shower, changed my clothes. Tonight is laundry night, and I will be washing those smelly pants so that they are fresh and ready to go for next week. So big shout out to Megan, who, like me, is often covered in penguin poo when we go to work. Let us go through and watch these penguins as they make their way through the puddle tonight. Heather has just advised me that we've got about 5 or so minutes to go, so I was lying to you earlier when I said there was only 5 minutes. We're going to do 5 minutes from now. Look at these guys as they swim through the puddle. We might go for another question or 2 before we sign off tonight. Oh my gosh, I can't keep up with them. Look at them dive. All right, Heather, how are we going for questions?
Yeah, we've got a great question here from Alita, 7 years old in Darwin.
Alita?
Alita.
Oh, what an interesting name. Hi, Alita.
Why do penguins have white bellies, Jordan?
Ooh,
isn't that a great question?
That's a really good question. It's one that we love here. Why do penguins have white bellies? So you've heard me explain why these little penguins actually have blue feathers on their backs. And you know what? I might jump to our penguin highway so we can get a really good view of their beautiful white bellies. So have you guys ever dived into the ocean, into a pool, kind of opened up your eyes underwater and had a look at the surface of the water? If you have, you might have clouds above, you might have the sun streaming down, so the surface of the water actually looks white. So this is a really, really helpful feature of these little penguins when they're out to sea. It helps them camouflage at the surface of the water from below from any marine predators. So things like leopard seals and long-nosed fur seals are the main predators of these little penguins. So if they can blend in with the surface of the water when those predators are kind of looking up with the sun streaming down or those clouds above, they can't actually be seen. So really well camouflaged from above with their blue feathers and really well camouflaged from below with their white bellies so nothing can spot them as they are looking up for a tasty penguin to munch on. Our penguins are quite safe here on Phillip Island though, on Malau, because they are the top predators. So we do have big scary sharks around the place, but they're quite big. We're the ones that should be scared of the sharks, and the Australian fur seals, which are on Seal Rocks, just off the coast, maybe about 5 kilometres west of us just here. A shark would much prefer to snack on a nice, fat, juicy seal rather than a tiny little penguin, which wouldn't even be a chicken nugget. So penguins are quite safe in the waters here on Phillip Island. It's when they head out into the Bass Strait a little bit further to find those, kind of go on longer fishing trips. That's when they come into contact with leopard seals and long-nosed fur seals. But with their beautiful camouflage, they are very, very rarely predated upon out in the ocean. So they're very clever penguins. Thank you. It was Alita. Great question. As I said, we normally talk about their blue feathers on the back. Oh, there's another shell gritter in our highway camera. There we go. You go, girl. So yeah, really, really good and really interesting question. These penguins are really, really well adapted to life at sea. In fact, did you see that one? Just boof that penguin. There's a few of them kind of getting boofed along on the rocks. I'm going to zoom in quite a lot. I'm not sure how the camera quality is going to be, so let's bear with us. You can see the tops of their feet are actually white as well, and even underneath their beaks are a light colour. So everything from their tail to the tops, tops of their feet, which are usually going to be flat, to their bellies and under their beak, it's all white. And then if you kind of flip a penguin over, the top of their beak, their head, their neck, and even the underside of their feet are really dark as well, which helps them camouflage from any predators from above. So yeah, really, really well adapted to life at sea. Look at them preening themselves. They are having an absolute fabulous time. All right, let's have one more audience question, and I think we will have to be signing off for the night, everyone. Before we do that, I'm just going to pan because I'm curious to see if there's been any more penguins crossing the beach. Let us have a look. With that beautiful full moon, which I might pan to as well one last time. Oh, yeah, there's a few stragglers. No more big groups. Let's have one, have a look. It's getting a little bit darker, so it's harder to see everyone. Nope, nothing happening across the beach. We're going to go back to the rocks again. I was just curious. Sorry, everyone. All right, Heather, have we got a question along?
We do, Jordan. What time do penguins go back to the sea? And that's from Sebastian, who is 7 years old.
Sebastian, I don't know how early you wake up, but these penguins go out well and truly before my alarm goes off for work every single morning. So similar light levels now, but in the morning. So around about now, that's kind of like 5, 6 a.m. The penguins are kind of doing this trip out to sea similar to what they're coming in, but what they're doing is they're waking up and they're crossing that open sandy beach before it gets light, before those big predators are waking up and looking for a spot of breakfast. So the penguins know that if they leave their burrows kind of in the dark just before it gets light, they can make their way into the ocean where they're nice and camouflaged and not get swooped down on as they cross the beach. When daylight saving comes in, that's going to be later. Yes, Heather's nodding at me. Daylight savings always confuses me. It's a bit of a confusing time. So I might be awake by then, but we aren't actually here at the Penguin Parade in the morning. It's only at night where we get to watch them on their way in. Alrighty, everyone, so it is about time for us to wrap up. We could keep going. There are so many questions coming through. Again, because we have so many wonderful questions on YouTube and Facebook every night, we can't get around to all of them. Keep tuning in night after night. We will do our best to answer your questions live on the air. But remember, if you are on Facebook, we will be able to answer those questions with a dedicated team of Penguin Rangers within the next 24 hours or so. So rest assured, we will get to all your questions. Unfortunately, not on YouTube, but tune in tomorrow night. Keep asking those questions, and we will continue monitoring the questions on YouTube because we can't, some technical reason, we figure out a way to comment on those questions that you posed after the stream has ended on YouTube. So we'll keep monitoring that and try to get your questions answered, but keep tuning in night after night. We've been blown away by the amount of people who have made live Penguin TV a nightly routine. Thanks for continuing to tune in. Thanks for your questions, for your enthusiasm. Thank you to everyone who has donated to the Penguin Foundation, and anyone who would like to adopt a penguin or become a Penguin Pal. If you've got a bit of spare change, chuck us the donation. The link is just in the description for the Penguin Foundation. There's a few different options that you can do. So if that's one way that you can help protect penguins, but remember there is also another really important way that I implore everyone watching tonight, and that is making sure you're picking up bits of rubbish when you are out and about and thinking about different ways that you can reduce how much plastic you're using. So trying to go single-use plastics free. Buy a coffee keep cup. Got a reusable straw, and for those of you who have reusable shopping bags, remember to bring those along when you head to the shops. Every little bit counts. Thank you so much for all the work you've been doing. Thanks for your love, for your enthusiasm. Stay sane, stay safe. Heather and Michael will be joining you on the weekend, so please tune in and give them all your love and support and all those great questions. But for now, it is time to sign off. My name's Jordan. If you've if this is your first time tuning in, we had the lovely Heather monitoring your questions tonight. Thanks again so much. We will see you.
A final hug.
We want a final hug.
Yeah.
Okay, are we all going to do it together?
Yeah.
Ready? Bye, everyone. Hug.